Hello there, and welcome back to Force Perspectives. I am your host, Michael Cohen, and joining me, as always, my favorite Star Wars lady, Joe Hogan.
I don't know what I did to earn that privilege, but I humbly accept it.
Awesome. We're this is part one of our two-part conversation about our favorite female characters in Star Wars, and we'll get into it in a second. We've got our list. We're gonna do five characters each. But before we do, real quick before we do, I've got two things up front. First and foremost, I've been saying it at the end of podcasts, but if people don't listen all the way to the end, I want to say it at the beginning of the
Gotta
podcast.
catch them early.
Yeah. And then I'll give you a chance to plug something as well if you want. But
Sure.
I, so, I guess you do have something pretty big to plug too. So, yeah, I've got a role playing book, TTRPG, tabletop role playing game book, launching on BackerKit on March 13th. It's called Enter the Nostalgiatron. It's a sci-fi, sort of satirical take on like grim dark political science fiction. That is what like that's the core game is called Stillfleet. But we are entered the Nostalgiatron. Is a quick start, learn by play book. It's a standalone book. You don't need the core rule book. And the point of it is that it is a cheaper, easier point of entry, with a little bit more of like we've given it like a Saturday morning cartoon flavor, because Stillfleet is usually pretty like grim dark sci-fi, but really in kind of a funny way. Just like honestly, guys, everything that I talk about with Star Wars that I love about it, the weird little guys and the odd stuff and the political science fiction components, all of that stuff is in Stillfleet, and it's actually like it's the point. So yeah, Stillfleet is awesome. If you want to learn more about it, the best way that I can suggest is checking out a podcast called Fun City. They did an arc. They usually play Shadowrun, but they broke away and did a whole campaign in Stillfleet called Float City. That has a beginning, middle, and an end. You can go listen to that whole campaign. It's like an actual play role playing game podcast. So you just like you're listening to them play the game, and that's, to me, I think that's the best introduction to it. That's how I was introduced to it. But
Mhm.
now I'm working with Wyatt Marshall, the creator of Stillfleet, to do this book, and it launches on BackerKit on March 13th, which is very soon. It's very, very soon. We've been working super hard on it. It is full of my art. It's going to be 64 pages, just like back to back, full of my illustrations and design and stuff like that. And it's man, it's awesome. It's really, really good. And what I need from everybody right now is if you go to stillfleet.com, so that's stillfleet.com/enter, it'll take you to the BackerKit teaser page. And you can follow the campaign from there, and the more followers we have, the higher up we are on the Pocketopia campaign page, which is like this larger campaign that we're a part of with BackerKit. And so that's better visibility for us. So um, it'll take you 2 seconds. Yes, you'll get update emails like when it goes live and when we post updates and stuff like that. Like honestly, you can unsubscribe from those later, but I even if it's something that you don't really play role playing games, whatever. If you could just like help me out with this main part of it, it would be so huge, because the higher up we are on that list, the more visibility we're gonna have, and so the more opportunities we'll have to reach the people that are gonna actually back it. That said, it's not gonna just be the book. There's gonna be other stuff as well that you can get. So and as with the book, like it's all my art. So if that's something of interest to anybody, Yeah, make sure that you check it out. Stillfleet.com/enter. The what it comes with. The main book is a full adventure. It gives you the basic rules for the grit system, which is what Stillfleet is built on. And it's a really great TTRPG system. It's super easy to pick up, but it's like endlessly flexible. It's a really really great system. Um, but you also get 4 pre-generated characters that we've built that are based off of like Saturday morning cartoon tropes, mostly the Ninja Turtles, right? But you know how every Saturday morning cartoon has the four guys, right? You've got your leader, your cool brooding guy, your tech guy, and the fun guy. And so yeah, it's that Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters A team sort of breakdown of the crew. And we've also got a bunch of awesome villains and scenarios. And you basically are going into this thing called the Nostalgiatron, which is being run by this insane he's a half snake man, which is a whole thing in Stillfleet, but you don't need to worry about it. He's got snake skin, and everything is a snake motif with this guy because he is obsessed with Saturday morning cartoons and he just wants to like recreate them in real life. And Yeah, so he's taken over this island on this alien planet and is forcing people to go through his like it's like American Gladiator, right? Like it's like he's just like, yeah, go run my gauntlet. But people then maybe die
Mhm.
in it because he's insane. And there's 8 play sets inside the Nostalgiatron, again, all based on like Saturday morning cartoon stuff. Like I I think what's it called, Bone Snake Castle, I think is what I called it, and so you guys can figure out what that one's based off of. And there's an ice cave with an ice beast in it. I don't know what that could have possibly been inspired by. And Yeah, it's just there's all sorts of like ridiculous stuff that we've come up with inside of it. And then on top of that, we've got a really cool bonus that we'll be talking about probably in the next week or so. That's going to be for the first 48 hours for people who back in the first 48 hours. They'll get it totally free, and it's really really exciting. We're just like finalizing some details on it right now before we talk about it. But what we're cooking up is super super awesome. And I really, really, really want it to go well because if it goes well, it means that I can keep doing stuff like this instead of having a real job, and that's an ideal situation for me is to make silly games for you guys to play, and draw absurd cartoon art to try and distract us from the you know tragedy and horror of everyday real life. Um, you know,
Guys, everything Mike has shown me about this project that he's drawn, like, it's so good. It's like, oh, this is awesome. Every and like, I mean, you've been consistently leveling up like for the past few years. That like the more we've been talking, the more I've like you've just been sending me stuff, and I've just seen more
hmm.
of your stuff, and you've just like you've grown, you've come so far, and like the stuff you're doing on this project is just pure, unadulterated Michael Cohen, like in your prime goodness. Everything is awesome. I've had like every time Mike sends me something, I'm usually like, "Oh, this is great, but you should fix this. I would change this." Everything he's shown me for this, I've been like, "Yeah, no notes. This is rad. Everything is looking incredible."
It's yeah, I mean like there's a component to it that when it's like, oh, this is like a real thing, like we're gonna ask people to actually pay money for this
Yeah.
real book that's part of like this established thing that has a fan base that I could piss off.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not just drawing Star Wars for myself or X-Men for myself or whatever. Like this is a thing that I have been I more or less like commissioned, hired to co-create with a person who I really really admire. And so it's just like, yeah, man, I gotta show up for this one. That's I think that's the thing.
Mm,
But also what I was saying before, like I gotta make this work. This
yeah,
has to work.
yeah.
This has to be good. Because, like, dude, it sucks to be approaching 40 and finally doing the thing that I should have been doing, all along. I and it is what it is. Like my corporate graphic design gigs have been, they've been helpful in things like, buying a home and establishing a family and all of that sort of stuff. But now it's like, oh, this actually like makes me happy every day. Like, this is actually like fun and awesome. And when I share it with other people, they're like, this is really cool, I like it. So it's like I'm making other people happy as well. So it's like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, not making logos for boring corporate websites and stuff. Although I'm still doing that stuff too because it pays a lot of money. But I
But
but I am focused more on this than any of that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. We've put a lot into it. It started as like a little project and has like exploded into this much bigger thing. And I but only because I think Why and I have just fallen in love with a lot of our ideas and with the potential of this. So yeah, I honestly, I just want as many people to see it as possible so that it gets to the right people who are going to love it, right? Because I know that there's an audience. I know that there are people who are going to absolutely love it. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Stillfleet.com/enter. And just like, you don't even have to create a BackerKit account. You can just put in your email. But if you've done a Kickstarter in the past, you probably already have a BackerKit account. That's the thing, is that like a lot of Kickstarter stuff runs through BackerKit. And this is BackerKit trying to basically run those campaigns without Kickstarter in the way, taking the whole process from the beginning of the campaign to the end, as opposed to, you know half of it being on Kickstarter and then half of it being on BackerKit. So I yeah, like, but most likely if you've done a Kickstarter in the past, fulfillment and stuff like that, surveys and all those sort of things were run through BackerKit, which is a more robust platform in a lot of ways. So yeah, head over there and do that, give it a follow. And yeah, it'll be going live. I mean, yeah, for this first part, it's going live in 2 weeks, and then when the next episode comes out, it'll actually be that day that it went live. So I have to remember that when we break and we record part two of this conversation. But I yeah, go check it out. Joe, you also have something that we just talked about it on Off the Record, but we haven't talked about it yet on Forced Perspectives. This is the first
nope.
episode where you can talk about it. So like, hit him
Get
with the
ready,
news.
say it, guys. I'm going to Japan. I'm going to Japan because I have been selected to be one of the 20 lucky featured artists in the Star Wars Celebration Japan art show this year. This is my uh, in person fourth time being in the show, but technically fifth time because when 2020 was going to be a celebration and that was canceled, they uh, they ended up doing the art show online, so people were still able to get the prints that were chosen for that year. So fifth time chosen, fourth time in person, and I'm terrified because this is the first time I'm ever going to Japan. I'm super super excited though, and I love Celebration and I love talking Star Wars with all the nerdy Clone Wars fans. So if that wasn't a hint, I did a print called Darkness on Umbara featuring Captain Rex and Torrent Company from the Clone Wars Umbara story arcs. One of my favorite story arcs ever because I'm a huge clone guy, and that's probably the best, one of the best, because Fives had a really great arc also. But Umbara, one of my favorite arcs from Clone Wars. And yeah, did a piece featuring all those guys in the middle of a firefight. You've got that big jerk Pong Krell kind of lurking in the background. And yeah, I'm just really pleased with it. I'm really proud of it. Um, it's doing really well on social media, so that gives me a lot of hope that pre-sales will do well. Pre-sales are from March 5th to March 20th. Uh, they will not be shipped. Like this print is going to be exclusive to only 250 uh, available prints to purchase. They will be exclusive to Celebration Japan. If you know somebody who's going or are going yourself and you're interested in it, or any of the other prints in the art show, I highly recommend you go to StarWars.com or Star Wars Celebration, like their website. Both of those sites have, kind of a preview of all 20 prints. There's so many good ones. I don't know how I got chosen because there's always a million incredible prints that did not get chosen. But I'm in fantastic company with the other artists who have been chosen. So much good stuff. I am so excited about Candace Daly's The Stranger. Uh, so it's a Chimera piece. It's incredible. She demolished it. It's so good. Um, Seth Groves did this incredible Queen Amidala with this like hidden mole in it. Like really, really sick. Brian DeGuire did another incredible droids print. Ksenia, who is like everybody knows Lorna Ka on Instagram. She's like one of the most famous like current day Star Wars artists out there. She did incredible piece from Ahsoka with the space whales. Amazing stuff. A lot of returning artists, a lot of new artists, a lot of fresh blood, some Japanese based artists, which is really exciting. Uh, Suneo Sanda, one of the godfathers of Star Wars art. You've seen his stuff
Mm.
everywhere in the 90s and the 2000s and maybe even earlier than the 90s. That guy is an absolute legend. He's in the art show. I'm having imposter syndrome just being in the same art show as him. I can't wait to meet him again because he's such a doll of a human being. Like I love him so much. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a great time. I'm really excited. I'm terrified because of all the things that I have to do between now and then, and it's like 6 weeks or something like that before we leave. So I'm just
Yeah.
uh trying to. I'm holding back a panic attack every day, trying to get everything finished that needs to get finished. But really exciting. Printing has started for these prints. I'm really happy with everything so far. Proofing is going really, really well. And yeah, I'm just excited to go be there and go to Celebration. I can finally so many takes, so many times over the past like what 2 months, Mike. Like I've been like, nope, we got to cut that. We can't use that. I can't say that
Yeah.
in Celebration yet. So it's nice
Yeah.
that it's one of like four things that have been under NDA lately, and it's the first thing I can finally talk about. So when people ask me what I'm doing, I can actually say I'm doing Celebration Japan. We're going to Japan. But there's the other things I still can't say anything about. But it's nice to be able to say something.
It's nice to be able to talk about a thing.
Yeah, anything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's an
No.
exciting one, so it's cool.
No, it's awesome. And your piece is I mean, like, it's tied with that freighter piece
Oh,
I
dude,
for my favorites.
Chris Travis has the
So
Outrider in
good.
it. The
Yeah, it's
Outrider
so
is in an
good.
official piece. I love it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I love his piece.
Yeah, you really outdid yourself on this one. I love like the colors and the just sort of like the action of it. I think it really like it feels like it's in motion sort of thing.
Thanks, man.
People got to go check it out. Go check out Joe's Instagram and you'll be able to see it there. But it's just it's an incredible piece. You put so much work into it, and I'm like it's you always kick ass with the clone stuff, but this one just really like cranks it up. The intensity in it is very good. It's
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
rivals the show itself, if not like I don't know, in my opinion, a little bit cooler. I wish the show looked like that.
I am very desperately missing 2D Star Wars. I
Right,
love
yeah,
everything we're getting. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Star Wars. I think that's probably why I enjoy Vision so much because it's that like it's scratching that itch for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
totally.
gorgeous, awesome 2D animation.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully we hear more about Visions soon ish. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to, but I it would be good to. But yeah, I mean, like so many of the artists that are in the Celebration Art Show this year are just really really great artists. But I'm very proud of your piece and you going and doing all that. It's awesome. I think it's gonna be great. And yeah, everybody who's going to Japan, you go check it out. Go buy Joe's stuff and bother him. Throw little bits
Definitely
of
bother
paper
me.
at him
Don't
when he's not looking, and
don't feel obligated to buy anything, but definitely come bother me.
yeah,
Come say hi.
but also buy stuff from him. Okay.
I'm not gonna say that. If you like what you see, you are more than welcome. I am more than happy to send you home with some of my work, but definitely come bother me.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so that's our personal news to tell you guys about our
House cleaning.
projects. I the other thing before we get into our list is to talk about just really really briefly, I think, about the Andor season 2 trailer. I don't have a ton to say about it. Um I mean, that's not true. I have a whole bunch to say about what is happening with Andor. The trailer itself and this and season 2, it looks it looks great. It looks phenomenal, right? Like it looks like it's going to be a really great season 2 of the show. I'm excited for it. I'm also like trepidatious because of what we talked about on the last episode with the amount of anxiety and that sort of thing that the show instills. Um, I think the bigger thing, and I don't want to get into the whole thing because you guys have listened to me gripe about this way too much lately, but it it's really odd to me how they are just turning on the fire hose and blasting this thing out over the course of 4 weeks. It's very weird. Um, the trailer got me so hyped because it's like, oh yeah, prestige drama. This is Disney's like it's their big like prestige fancy show and all of the accolades for the original like the first season and all that sort of thing. I'm like, oh cool, like they're really pulling out all the stops and they're really thinking about this in that sort of a way, and that's really cool to see them doing that. And then you read the news and it's like, yep, so it's 12 episodes and they're 3 episode arcs like last season. And we're gonna put them out three, 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 right? Like just which feels a little bit like, oh, okay, so I guess you're just putting out like 4 movies, kind of, is the way that that's gonna work. But then at the same time, it's like, how how are we gonna cover that, right? Like
Mm,
like it's we're gonna miss so much of the nuance in our conversations because if we want to be current week to week with what's coming out, then like then we have to like gloss over so much because we're talking about 3 episodes at a time.
mm.
And then it kind of clicked for me where I was like, oh, i don't I don't think they want us to talk about this show. I think that's what it is. I think that's what it comes down to. I think that they are so afraid. I don't think it's Lucasfilm, by the way. I think that this is Disney, and I think it's very specifically a few people at Disney that made this call. I bet if you talk to anybody at Lucasfilm and you got a candid answer from them, that they would be like, "Yeah, we'd like to give each episode its time to breathe." Right? Because that's what they did with the first season. That's what they've done with all of their other shows. I don't believe that any other Star Wars show has just been dumped like this, right? Visions gets like a full like here's the whole thing, but that's different because it's like an anthology show and they're like 7-minute things, and like same with like the Tales shows, right?
Mm.
But those make sense because those are little like short story vignette anthology shows. None of the like proper shows, even the animated stuff, hasn't been. Young Jedi Adventures, sure, but that's for preschoolers, so it's like, yeah, they're trying to keep them glued to the TV, right? But our shows, it's been week to week, and the that move has actually like motivated other platforms to do week to week as well, right? Like Disney Plus was really the first one that kind of went, yeah, no, we're not putting all of Mandalorian out. Like you're gonna have to tune in every week. Like this is
Yeah.
appointment television, right? And then everybody else started to follow suit, and then like Netflix is like, no, we're just dumping all of Stranger Things season 4 all at once, and everybody was like, we wish you kind of wouldn't actually, like we wish that you would like let us sit with each episode, um I instead of like what happens. And this is the thing, because this is what happens when they dump a whole series or a whole season at once. We talk about it for a weekend
Yeah.
and then it disappears. And that's what.
Also, people who
Yeah.
can't sit down and watch it in a weekend,
Yeah.
the entire season is spoiled
Hmm.
all over social media
Yeah.
within hours of it releasing.
Which is what Netflix wants, because they want you to go to the platform and binge it right away,
Mm.
right? Because like I don't know why they've decided that that's what they want people to do, but that's what Netflix has decided that they want people to do. That's the metric that they use to determine whether or not something is successful. I think it's because they saw behavior with the first season of Stranger Things, where people would watch one episode and then they would come back and they would watch the rest of the season, right? It would be sort of like, oh, I'll check this out, and then they saw the behavior of them going like, man, I got to watch the rest of this right away, and um so I think like they've been chasing that because that's what they see as success. That's what the metric that they see as success. But in reality, it's like, well, if people are doing that, it's like then they binge it and then they're gone. Like then they're off your platform and they're off doing something else, right? To me, it's like longevity is so much more important than showing up and hanging out for a weekend and then disappearing off to another platform, right, or off to other activities. You want people tuning in week to week, but that's if you want people talking about your content on a week to week basis. That's if you want people dissecting and digesting what you're putting out there. And honestly, I don't think Disney wants us doing that with Andor season 2. I think that in the current political climate that they want this to go under the radar as much as possible, because they don't want to draw attention to the fact that they're putting out an anti-fascist Star Wars TV series, right? Like and obviously that Tony Gilroy started this show years ago, right? Basically he started writing Andor when Rogue One was still being filmed. That's my understanding of it, of like he was like on set and like visiting Gareth Edwards and getting ideas for for what this show would be, for what his story about Cassian would be. And so it's been that long, right? Like we're talking about almost a decade of production of this show. And at that point in time, I think that Disney and Lucasfilm especially wanted a little bit more of the progressive storyline stuff on their platform, right? But I think that has changed drastically in the last 12 months, especially in the last 4 weeks. I honestly, I think that they are just like blasting this out there so that we will move on to the next thing and not talk about it. Um, and I say that because I saw Captain America: Brave New World, which got reshoots and edits, and they could have taken some real heavy punches, at the right wing and at conservatives and far right extremism, and they didn't in that movie. Like that movie absolutely pulls its punches, and they've got Captain America sitting between the aisles going like, why can't we all just get along? And it's like, that's not what Cap would say. I don't care which Cap you're talking about. That's not what Cap would say under these circumstances. So yeah, it's Disney just seems to have a bit of a like, we don't want to piss off. I don't know if it's that they don't want to piss off the administration, or if it's that they don't want to piss off the fan base that the administration has, because you're almost dealing with a rival property when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's like a Star Wars versus Star Trek type of thing, because of how fanatical some people have gotten. Nobody who's listening to this podcast, but you guys know the type, you know who we're talking about. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think when that segment talks negatively about the shows, it it affects the share price. We've talked about this over and over and over. And so I think that they are trying to mitigate that damage by just putting, if it's 4 weeks, then it's going to be maybe 6 to 8 weeks that this happens, and that's all the hit that they're going to have to take, right? um I think they underestimate just how much those people see themselves as the hero no matter what you present them with. So like if Cassian is out there fighting for, truth and freedom, and he's murdering people to do it, that they're going to twist that into their own perspective and be like, no, this guy would be on our side, right? Clearly, obviously, this guy would be on our side. um so I actually don't think that they have as much to worry about with Andor as they did with something like Acolyte or even Skeleton Crew. But yeah, it's just, what a stark contrast in the way that Skeleton Crew was handled, where like we really thought that Skeleton Crew was going to be a minefield and that we were going to be like week to week, shouting down these idiots, and it ended up just being like, oh, I think everybody actually likes this show. And now with this one, the one that everybody is anticipating the most, uh, uh, Andor and Rogue One being the things that I think have gotten the most sort of universal praise. I don't know, like amongst Star Wars fans specifically, but amongst like general public, like your average Disney Plus subscriber. If you ask them what the best Star Wars stuff is, they'll tell you that it's Rogue One and Andor. So it like I don't know, like it's a weird move to me. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Joe. Probably not, but it's so
I don't have a thought in my head, Michael. You know that.
it's so suspect to me, man. Like
Mm.
it's such weird behavior to take something that they've spent so much money on and that is touted as this prestige drama, and for them to just like,
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed it's getting so thrown out the door. I
yeah,
mean,
they're just,
honestly, we're not even gonna be able to talk about it either. I'm gonna be gone for
yeah,
a month. Well, I'm
yeah.
gonna be here for the last batch of episodes. Is it 2 or 3 episodes?
Yeah, it'll be three, right? Because it's 4 weeks and it's 3 episodes per week.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's it's such an odd move, and I know that I am not alone in thinking that there's other motivation behind it, because from a business standpoint and from like a streaming platform standpoint, it really just doesn't make sense, right? Because the point of these platforms theoretically is to have subscribers on them for an extended period of time. Taking your biggest show of the year of 2025 and just like slamming it out over 4 weeks, it's like, just why not just give it all to us at once? Like I think
Yeah.
that would be too suspicious. I think that's why they're not doing it that way, is that people would be like, whoa, wait a second, why are you doing that? But the way that they are doing it, I don't know. It feels like it's a sneaky way of them going like, "Oh, we're giving you what you want. You guys know it's their 3 episode chunks, so we're just going to give you the 3 episode chunks." And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sure that the conversation went like, so we do a 2 episode premiere that's worked for us in the past. It's like, yeah, but these are really 3 episode things, so should we just put the first 3 out? And then somebody was like, well, if we really want to just like get this out there and avoid the PR damage that it's going to do with that segment of the audience, we should just put everything at like three episodes at a time. Like just put them out, and they'll be like, oh, they did this for a logical reason, and they won't notice why we actually did it. Like that, I guarantee that was the conversation that happened in a closed door meeting with Bob Iger, and like there's like 4 people in that room, and they were like, Okay, cool. It's the meeting that happens before the meeting, right? That's when everything
Yeah.
actually gets decided. Is like, and then they walk out, and then if you're one of the regular people and you're not part of that closed door meeting, you sit in that meeting going like, so this is what we've got planned out and scheduled. We've got our social media post ready to go. Blah blah blah. It's like a marketing meeting, right? And then they're like, actually, we're gonna do this, and then you're like, sorry, what? That's not that's not what has been discussed for the last 12 months. It's like, yeah. We've made a decision. Right. It's like, oh, okay, I guess we'll adjust everything. But watch, the social campaign will be so sloppy for this. It'll be so sloppy because I guarantee you this decision was made within the last 2 months.
Mm,
And it's like those like these campaigns get worked on months in advance, right? Because there's
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
video and all of that stuff that goes into it, and that stuff takes a lot of time. Trust me. It takes a lot of time.
What'd you think of the
um
trailer? I know this isn't the Andor
yeah.
episode, but what'd you think of that trailer?
um I think it is intentionally vague. I think that it has enough of a tone that those of us who know what we're getting into are hyped for what's coming, but that it's also, there's no plot, there's no
Mm,
actual, like, there's very little dialogue in it. It's not actually, the trailer is not actually about what the show is about. The trailer is about Cassian.
mm,
And I think that that is another thing that points me at, is like there are strategic decisions being made here to avoid the topic of conversation, which is, as we know, fuck the Empire, right? That's the topic. Like, that's the thesis of Andor season 1, and it will be the thesis of Andor season 2. And it is Cassian's descent, I think, into becoming the character that we see at the beginning of Rogue One, right? And it's I mean, like, there's so much about what we're going to see that I think is going to be really fascinating stuff that we're going to want to discuss, because it is the idea of, like, this is what happens when a fascist authoritarian regime pushes good people to do bad things, right? Cassian is not a traditional hero. He's an anti-hero.
mm,
I And the reason why he's an anti-hero is because, as we sort of explored a little bit in the first season, doing the right thing, being the good guy, isn't going to get you anywhere, right? Um, Even when Cassian tries to avoid getting in trouble, he ends up in prison, right? Like there's no way out of this system playing by the rules. That's the message that the first season, like, really drove home, so that in season 2, as we see Cassian become this rebel spy that we know that he becomes, we understand the justification of that, right? So, like, that, if you know that already and you watch that trailer, you go, okay, cool, I see what he's doing there, I see what's happening here. Oh, he's like all clean shaven and fancy looking, so clearly he's infiltrating some imperial uh muckety muck shindig or something like that on Coruscant, right? Like, in the way that we saw, um oh, what's the other guy? The other guy, the guy, I can't remember the character's name for some reason. It keeps falling out of my head.
the other
Um,
guy.
the Stellan Skarsgård's, not yeah,
Oh,
Stellan Skarsgård, yeah, his
oh,
character.
Luthen.
Um, yeah, Luthen. Yeah, it's like we saw Luthen doing that last season, right?
Mm,
Like the playing both sides sort of thing,
mm.
and so it's like, okay, cool, so we're gonna get to see Cassian do that. There's this sort of like bacchanalia vibe of things on Coruscant, of like this, big party, which gives me Matrix. uh which one is it? Is it the second one or the third one where they have the big rave? I think it's the second one, right? I It's just like the weird, like, we're all gonna die, let's party. I but Yeah, like it just, yeah, them partying while,
Imminent
everybody else
death
is being
approached. Yeah.
subjugated. Yeah. Um yeah, and lots of explosions, lots of action and stuff like that. The musical choice is an interesting one to me. I am not familiar with the song. I don't like I haven't even like looked it up. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the song. Like they might have more context or whatever. It feels to me like they cut that trailer with a Rage Against the Machine song, and then we're told not a chance,
Oh
right?
man.
That like that like, and this is, I say a lot of this stuff having like listened to Tony Gilroy talk about this show a lot, right?
Mhm.
And talk about what he want, like the message that he's trying to get across. And Tony Gilroy is the type of director and creative that I wouldn't put that past him in this moment now in 2025 to like to cut a Star Wars trailer to a Rage Against the Machine song. Um, and you know, there are like half a dozen that you could pick that would perfectly fit. If anybody out there, I do not currently have the time because of all of the projects that I have to do this experiment, but I'll bet you anything, if you grab that trailer and you just like grab one of those 6 songs and just overlaid it, it would like sync up instantly. Instantly. I guarantee it. I guarantee there's one song in particular that I think of that's like, yeah, I think that would probably sync up. But I yeah, it's I don't think I actually don't think it's a good trailer because it doesn't actually give us very much to go on. But it's a thing of like, those of us who are going to watch the show, they don't need to. And then those that are going to miss the context, it's like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. Right? So yeah. Yeah, that's it.
It
That's what I think. What did you think of the trailer?
was fine.
Yeah.
It's for me. It felt like tonal whiplash because I know what to expect from the tone, and it was just
Yeah.
like not giving that, and it was just like, all right. I was more confused than anything. Like I was obviously registering what I was looking at, but at the same time, just I don't know. I was left more befuddled than usual. Doesn't take a lot to befuddle me, but I
Yeah.
don't know. It's fine. I'm gonna like the show. I'm gonna watch it, but I don't know that trailer, that
Yeah.
people who aren't already watching Star Wars are going to watch that trailer, and if any of them decide, "Hey, this show might be for me," I don't know that they're like, "What is this?" Like,
Hmm.
what? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
trailer, I don't know that it was the most effective at doing its job, but
Yeah. Agreed. 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 And yeah, I think that there's a very good reason for why it ended up being the
mhm.
trailer that it ended up being. But yeah. Um
I also think, I mean, I know you're just speculating, but
yeah.
like the Rage Against the Machine point, a lot of them don't know that Rage Against the Machine is not on their side.
Yes.
Like they just don't understand.
Well, that's, yeah, that's exactly like that's the point that I was making earlier, right? Is that like it doesn't like, I think that Disney is being overly cautious about something that they actually really don't need to
Yeah,
worry about,
sure.
because this fan base and this topic in particular, I don't think uh I I I think that the people that they're worried about are actually quite clueless about, you know, the fact that they're the baddies. You know,
Mm.
there's the meme, right? I don't know what that's from, but it's the thing of like, wait, are we the baddies? And it's like, I'm pretty sure those guys in that meme are Nazis. So it's like, yeah, I that's the vibe. That's the vibe. I think a lot of the time with this stuff, is that, you know, these weirdos like Ben Shapiro and whatever are like, "Oh, yeah, I'm like Luke Skywalker destroying the Death Star," and
Okay.
it's like, what are you talking about? You're not even an actual stormtrooper. You're like that mole dude in Obi-Wan that's like, "Hey, stormtroopers, I think I found you some dissidents. You like me, right? Even though I'm a weird alien and I'll be the first under the heel." It's like, yeah, no, he is a. It's apt because he is a rodent. He is a disgusting, filthy pest that should be
Pest is a good word.
dealt with. Um, yeah, yeah. Star Wars. It's
Yay.
always been political, guys.
Yay.
I think Disney is a little bit frustrated at the moment that their two biggest properties are underperforming. Um, but the reason why their two biggest properties are underperforming is because they keep doing this stuff to them.
Mm.
They keep undermining them. If you let these things be about what they're actually about, you let the characters be true to the intent of the stories that they tell, it resonates. But instead we're getting all of this really really weak shit. Not actually, in some instances. I mean, like Acolyte and Skeleton Crew are awesome shows, but the way that they are treated by Disney is weird. But I'm thinking more of the Marvel stuff. The way that they've been handling Marvel stuff lately has been really frustrating me, because it's just like, yeah, these characters should mean something at the moment, and instead we're just getting like really weird, like waffly takes on some of these characters. I don't know. I'm holding out hope that Superman's going to show up for us later this year and actually stand for something, and James Gunn's going to piss some people off, and I
Oh, you meant the
with
film.
a
I
great
thought you
movie.
meant actual Superman just come in
Well, dude,
and actually do things we need him to do.
yeah, so,
Because that's where I'm at. I'm there.
yeah,
Oh,
that would be nice. That would be nice. I Nope, I don't think that any aliens are going to come down and save us from ourselves. It's kind of our own problem. We got to sort it out ourselves, but that's okay. Uh, we won't, but it's going to get worse before it gets better, but that's kind of the way that things go. Let's completely switch gears and get into
yeah.
the actual topic of this episode. So we've got 5 characters each, and for this first part, because I think we actually ended up talking about Andor a little bit longer than I thought we would, but we're gonna do we're each gonna give our first two, and then in the next episode we'll do our top three. But before I get into my actual list, and I'll go first so that you can think about it.
Okay.
If you wanted to have any sort of honorable mentions, this would be the
Mm.
place to do it. So I will right now just say that I I would put Iden Versio on my honorable
Ah,
mentions, because I think
good
that she's
one.
a really great character, but it really pisses me off how she's been treated. That's one of those dangling threads that we'll eventually talk about, is that character and her existence, and the reason why they have actually these two characters that I'm about to talk about share this in common, because I think the main reason why Iden has been just completely forgotten is because you're talking about a South Asian woman. You're talking about Janina Gavankar playing that character, and I don't think that Disney has any interest in putting another woman of color at the front of Star Wars, even though that character is awesome. Could absolutely show up in the time period that the Mandalorian is in. Could actually replace a character that was just dumped without us ever sort of looking back. Yeah, she I think I would have made a great Ranger of the New Republic. But and Janina is awesome. She's a great actor and an awesome person, and not too shabby to look at, which is a thing that I think should count for something when we're talking about making Star Wars shows. It's like, hey, you've got this beautiful woman playing this awesome character, Imperial turned New Republic hero, with a great storyline, trapped in an awful video game. I mean, Battlefront 2 is horrible to play, but the story mode is worth suffering through because the story is that good. Because Aiden's story is that good. So she is one of my honorable mentions. My other honorable mention is Rose, who like, I think Rose I have to have as an honorable mention because we just don't get enough from Rose for me to have as much of a connection to her as I want to, but I do genuinely love that character and what she represents in Star Wars. I it's just I there's no real way to talk about Rose without then going on a 3 hour rant about Rise of Skywalker, and I just don't think that we need to do that. So she just barely didn't make it onto the list. Um, I guess I'll throw the third one in here because this is a character that was on my list, but then I just pulled at the last minute, and that's Jaina Solo. I and I'll tell you the reason why, because I one of the characters that I'll talk about in this episode replaced Jaina. I'll tell you which one we get there, but the thing that I thought as I thought about what I was going to say about each character, the thing is that a lot of what's in Jaina Solo's character ends up in another character that I will talk about in the next episode. So yeah, so I was just kind of like, you know what, this will end up being very repetitive. And Jaina is not a canon character anymore, but I just will say that, like, of the New Jedi Order Legends EU characters, Jaina is in my top three, along with Coran Horn, and yeah, I love Jaina's character so much,
Mm.
um, uh, but there's another instance of stuff that just goes on for too long and eventually turns into absolute garbage, but all of the stuff during New Jedi Order with that character I really love. So
Mm.
yeah, so those are my honorable mentions. You got any honorable mentions before I jump into my first entry?
I'm gonna throw one out there that
Okay.
kind of surprised me because it's more of a like a recent thing for me because I never really cared that much about this character until I started thinking about it. Um, Barriss Offee, like
Mm,
really great character development through Clone Wars. There wasn't really a ton about her that was super interesting before the Clone Wars series. All the EU stuff was just she was just kind of like a flat Padawan, you know,
yeah,
like there wasn't really much to her. Um, but just seeing her kind of character arc through Clone Wars and more recently Tales of the Empire, like
yeah, yeah,
I like that she wasn't there's she's complicated and obviously she made a lot of the wrong choices when she frames Ahsoka in Clone Wars. She had a point, went about it the wrong way, and ultimately the road to hell is paved in good intentions, right? Um, so she thought she was doing good. I don't know how much of that she really believed, but I think she believed she was doing what needed to be done for the greater good. But there wasn't really much to her past that until we got Tales of the Empire, where we see her,
yeah,
you know, become an inquisitor, continue down the path of making, you know, poor choices in the sake of what is it called when like, well, I've already come this far, so I can't. It's like a something some lost some or something like that. Can't think of what the phrase is called.
Oh,
Do you know
I
what I'm
can't.
talking
Yeah,
about?
I do know what you're talking about, and but now I can't think of
Yeah.
it. I know what you mean, though.
But like she's invested so much into it
Yeah,
and she's like at this point, well, now I kind of can't come back. I have to kill my friend to commit to this, to be a part of this. And then once she really realizes what she's committed to, she reverses, right? And she doesn't double down. She doesn't, you know, um she does try to grow as a person and she does try to do what she feels is the right thing, even if that means defecting sides essentially a second time.
yeah,
Um, and then by the end of Tales of the Empire, she's like, uh, reached her enlightenment. You know what I mean? So it was cool to see her go from kind of this when we first are introduced to her, she's obviously there as a like complete contrast to Ahsoka, right? Ahsoka's impulsive and um, emotional, just like Anakin as a young Padawan. And Barris is like, no, no, we got to do things by the book. Like there's an order to these things, and she's very like goody goody. And then she's the one that breaks bad, and Ahsoka's the one who suffers for it. Um, so it was cool to see her start from goody goody to uh, uh, youth who is I was going to say misinformed youth, but that's not the right thing. Like just like her, she misses the trees for the forest, makes poor decisions, commits down that way, realizes it's the wrong way, switches gears, and then dedicates her life to helping people. I love that. I love that they did that with her character. For a character
Hmm.
that there was basically nothing to, they turned her into a fully realized character, and she's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Barris is a great character. That's a good call. Cool. That's it. That's your only honorable mention.
Yeah, just the one. Because honestly,
Cool.
like, I don't want us to have too much overlap, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because like it sucks because a lot of the like women Star Wars characters that I really really love, um, a lot of it is because there just weren't many of them at the time when
Yeah,
like during the prequels, like, oh, Ida Gallia is awesome, Ayla Secura is awesome, but like there isn't a ton to Ayla other than like hot Twi'lek chick who is a Jedi.
yeah,
So you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like I love Shakti and I love Luminara and I really enjoy those characters, but there's really just not a lot to say about them. It's really like, oh, they have really
yeah,
cool designs and they fight really well.
yeah. Yeah, I really like that one sequence from the Clone Wars micro series or something, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's you're really just attached to like an action
Yeah.
sequence
Exactly.
or like a funny moment. The I think the funny thing about that is that a character like Kit Fisto becomes a massive fan favorite because he's got one really great moment in Attack of the Clones, right? He does that smile and we all fell in love with him and like it is as simple as oh he interacted with a classic trilogy character
Mm.
right
Yeah.
3PO of all characters and it's just like it's such a literal throwaway moment but then we all become so attached because that's what we had at the time and nowadays yeah like we get new characters in something like Acolyte or something like Skeleton Crew and it's like
Yeah.
well man we get so much from these new characters
Yeah.
right and you think about it and it's like I don't know if there's as much character development in the last 20 plus years of Kit Fisto existing. What is it now? It's like 20,
Yeah.
22 or 23 years of Kit Fisto existing that there is in the mystery of Chimere as a character. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Chimere we get so much and he's so developed by the time that we even meet him that it's like, oh, this character is infinitely more complex than that character ever has been
Yeah.
and probably ever will be but yeah it's just a funny thing of like the differences in when they were introduced and yet like I am so attached to Kit Fisto. I'm pretty attached to Chimera as well. I'm really really crossing my fingers for something at Celebration but yeah with Manny being on the guest list and all of
Mm.
that yeah
They
yeah
did
it'll be
approve Candace's awesome print, and I look
yes
there. I have to say this because
yeah
quickly going back to the art show, a lot of people think that the art show is not curated because it is curated. Um, they think that we're specifically commissioned by Lucasfilm. It's not. It's an
yeah
art contest. So they select
yeah
pieces based on the ones that they like. Um really and they can only choose from what they receive, right? From the eligible artists that submit to it. So a lot of times something will release in the art show and people think that there's more to it than it's just like the panel of judges liked it and wanted it,
yeah
but like every year there's people kind of like put these meetings on, oh well Lucasfilm curated this because they they're trying to erase Padme from history now, which is an
yeah
actual
yeah
article that came out. But meanwhile it's like the guy just didn't draw Padme. um, but every once in a while every once in a while one hits that you don't expect it to. So the year that I got in, I did the 2021. I did my Bad Batch print, and I found out that I got in, and I was like, "I'm surprised." Like, nobody but me and the Clone fans care about Bad Batch. I'm really surprised this one got chosen. And then literally 3 days later, they announced the Bad Batch series, and I was like, "Oh, maybe?"
Yeah, yeah,
So, I don't know. They chose Chimere, and considering Acolyte's canceled, I'm not saying it means anything, but if it means something, I'm gonna be very happy.
yeah. We're not saying it means anything,
Right.
but we're not saying it
It doesn't
doesn't
either.
not mean
Right.
anything. Yeah, yeah, totally. Awesome. Okay, let's get
Yeah,
into our
sorry, go ahead.
actual list
Yeah,
now.
cool, go
And
for
I
it.
am gonna start. This is a bit. This is we've kind of put them in order, but also kind of not, because I'm gonna start with a character that, like, let's just start here,
Mhm,
because I think if we don't, then we just end up talking around her the
mhm.
entire time.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, foundationally, I she had to be on one of our lists, and we discussed it. It's like, oh, who's gonna take her? Not
Mhm,
in like, oh, like who's gonna be stuck with her, but like which one of us is gonna put this character on their list.
mhm,
And so I will start with the original
mhm.
wonderful lady of Star Wars, and that's Leia.
OG,
I
baby.
Yeah, the OG Leia Organa Solo Skywalker, the woman with 1,000 last names. Um, yeah, I listen, Princess Leia.
Mhm.
She'll always be royalty to me.
Yeah.
There's so many components to this. There's so many aspects to why this character is on the list, that I don't even think we need to justify, right? Like honestly, she's probably number one, objectively, right? Because without Leia, you not only do you not have all of these other incredible female characters in Star Wars that are um that exist either like sort of in concert with or in opposition to, right? Like everything is measured against this character. Like I said, we would end up just talking around it if we didn't just talk about her first, right? Because she is the archetype, but it's not just that. Star Wars wouldn't exist without this character. I really firmly believe that. I think that Leia is such an integral linchpin to this story. I mean, she is literally the first hero that we're introduced to,
Mhm,
right? We see her long before we see Luke, long before we see Han. It is honestly, the first film is her story as much as it is Luke's story. And it took us 40 plus years to figure that one out, and it really wasn't until the Obi-Wan Kenobi series like slapped us all in the face with it and went like listen, she's just as important. Even though, Rise of Skywalker, is Rise of Skywalker before Kenobi? Yeah, it's before Kenobi,
yeah.
right? It tried really hard to uh to tell us that, but in the wrong way. But yeah, Kenobi really, like, honestly, like, and that version of the character is my favorite version. Little Leia, uh, and you guys
Oh,
know,
really?
this is how it always goes with me, right? Like, if it's connected to Obi-Wan Kenobi, like that raises that character in my esteem significantly. But because Leia serves the purpose that she does in that show, and by virtue of that in the larger Star Wars story, it's like that show really put it into perspective for me. Not that before that I was like, oh, Leia's not important. I've always felt that Leia is as important as Luke, right? Maybe not always, but like as an adult, as an enlightened, feminist adult, I have always been like, Leia is just as important. In the last few years, I've begun to take the opinion that Leia may even be more important, because characters like Luke and Han are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
But in 1977, more importantly, in like 1970, whatever, when George starts putting pencil to yellow notepad, right? And he starts creating that character. he creates this damsel in distress, and then at some point has the epiphany, like the like just like a literal moment of genius of like, why would this woman be in distress? Like I can make this world whatever I want it to be, right? Like and I think that that was sort of his perspective on it. um and being George, he was like, well, let's make this, this doesn't, it can reflect our world, but it doesn't have to emulate our world,
Mm.
right? Like it's a funhouse mirror almost. um and so yeah, like she's young, but she's a senator, and she's a better shot than either one of the boys, and she's smarter than them, she's better under pressure, she's quick-witted and spicy, and like just she's not to be trifled with. And I if not for all of those elements coming in, I don't think Star Wars is as successful as it is. And then beyond that, like, think of all of the things that we never get if we don't have Leia. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer doesn't exist without this character, right? And that's just the best prime example of what has been coined, the strong female character, that comes to mind, especially for genre fans. But honestly, like, look at every piece of genre content in the last 50 years since Star Wars. We're almost at 50 years. I it's all like, it all stems from this. Like
Mm.
Leia is like the trunk of the tree that all of those characters branch out from. And she has roots in characters in mythology and folklore and fairy tale that inform her as a character. And I'll leave that sort of conversation to somebody smarter than me, like Missy or Marie Claire, on what the Force. But like, the character is she is like that solid trunk of the tree, and all of these other Star Wars characters come out of her. Not just the female ones, by the way, because Poe Dameron is a character that comes out of Leia, right?
Mm.
And that doesn't become clear until The Last Jedi. And I don't really think that that was the intent in The Force Awakens, because the intent in Force Awakens was that he dies in the first 5 minutes of the movie, basically. Not 5 minutes, but like, he dies rescuing Finn, and then Finn sort of takes on his mantle and goes forward. That was the original screenplay. And then when JJ Abrams wanted to cast Oscar Isaac, Oscar was like, I want to be in Star Wars for real. Like, if you're just going to kill me off in the first act, then I
Mm.
don't think I want to do this, because that's my chance to be in Star Wars.
Mm.
At which point JJ Abrams went away and very shrewdly was like, got to have this guy in this
Yeah.
movie. And rewrote, like, with Lawrence Kasdan, like, basically rewrote that aspect of the character. I was like, nope, he survives, which is why it's so weird. He just, like, survives. But I yeah, like, that character in The Last Jedi is very much like it's Leia seeing Han in Poe, seeing her mistakes from Ben, and then going like, I got to fix this. I got to do better this time,
Mm.
right? And steering him away from that. And then another character in that film, Admiral Holdo, who is an awesome, phenomenal character. Again, like, Holdo is Leia 2.0, right? Like, intentionally within the story, she's Leia 2.0, to like, to make a point. And yeah, so it's just like the examples go on and on and on and on and on of all of these characters in Star Wars and outside of Star Wars that they just do not exist without this character first. And more important than the character, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is Carrie Fisher,
Mm.
because that's really the secret here. George had the vision of who the character was, and how that character needed to be portrayed. And so he gets a lot of the credit because he's the one who cast Carrie Fisher and saw that potential in her that wasn't in the other great actors that showed up to be that character, right? Um, because honestly, I think that with some of the other choices in the original trilogy, I think if you put Kurt Russell in there instead of Harrison Ford, it wouldn't have been exactly the same. But I think that the net result of Star Wars would have been very similar, right? Like I think Kurt Russell, Harrison Ford, like yeah, Harrison Ford is the superior in that argument, but we're talking about a hair's breadth difference here in terms of Harrison Ford being better than Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell's pretty awesome in everything that he does, but with Leia, if you don't have Carrie Fisher, that character I just don't think that character ends up being that character. I think that those other actors that were auditioned for that role are awesome and do other great things, right? But but like Carrie Fisher is Princess Leia. Princess
Mm,
Leia is Carrie Fisher. I was fortunate enough to get to see her on stage multiple times at Star Wars
mm.
celebrations. I 3 or 4 times, I think,
Did you
and
did you see her spank James Arnold Taylor?
I don't think that I did. I don't think I was there for
That's
that.
maybe my
Maybe,
favorite Carrie Fisher moment ever, and I
yeah.
got to see it in the audience. It was awesome.
I but man, what a presence. Like
Yeah,
you're in an auditorium, 100 seats back, but you're still just like glued
yeah,
to every word that
yeah.
she
You're
says.
locked in.
And she comes out on stage and there's Mark Hamill and George Lucas as well, and it doesn't matter, I'm listening to Carrie, right? And they say something and like they chirp and she shuts them down and you're just like, yeah, right? Because that was Carrie, and she was such an incredible woman beyond her role in Star Wars, the
Mm,
things that she did in her career and contributed to, and all of the things, so many of the things that we love. This is a lot like Kathleen Kennedy. There are so many things that these women stood behind the scenes and did not take credit for. But Carrie Fisher was a script doctor, and if people don't know what that means, it means there would be a script, a screenplay, and it's like, okay, we like the idea, and it's mostly there, but it's not quite working, right? You send it to a script doctor, and the script doctor goes in and fixes your issues. Go tweak this here, add this character, flip these two things, move this scene up, stuff like that, right? Like just like really like the script doctor for a reason. They're very like surgical. It's very like expertly done, sort of almost like strategic, tactical. And Carrie Fisher, by all accounts, in the 90s was the best. And there are countless scripts that she did this for, all sorts of things that are classics that we all love. And yeah, like she just like that legacy, on top of being the most important female character in modern storytelling.
mm.
It's just like, wow. Yeah, Leia, Carrie Fisher. We go into details and stuff like that, but I think that you guys all know, like this character is one of the best in Star Wars, one of the best, period, right? um yeah,
At the
we
risk
love Leia,
at
but
the
yeah, go
risk
ahead.
of sounding like a sexist jerk, uh,
Yeah,
on an episode about these women Star Wars characters that we love,
yeah,
I have to quickly talk about her appearance, and not because it's specifically her appearance, but as an artist,
yeah.
visually, the character design, like she is an icon, right?
Hmm.
Like when you think about Star Wars, when most people think about Star Wars, maybe not you or I, but when most people think about Star Wars, what comes to mind? Darth Vader's helmet and cinnamon buns on your ears. Like she's so ingrained in pop culture, both as a character and as an icon. And
Yeah.
it's not many things get to transcend to that level of notoriety and recognizability. Is that a word? But like you look at Princess, everybody, people who've never seen Star Wars know who Princess Leia is just by looking at, Carrie Fisher from 1977. Wild. It's wild that her character has had. It's just that important, right? Is that important to pop culture? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm like, yeah, like truly iconic in every sense of the word, right? Truly iconic. As I refer to them, lunchbox characters,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like yeah, that the silhouette of her head with the buns is enough
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people to recognize who you're pointing at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a who's that Pokemon type of thing, right? Like, can you figure it out just based on the silhouette? And you absolutely can with that character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's my first one. Who's first on your list?
Well, oh boy, do I not have a lot to say about this first one because it was my number five out of, out
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
five. Um, it's gonna be Satine, Duchess Satine Kryze from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. No surprise, gonna be a lot of Clone Wars love from me. Um, but yeah, as a character who kind of started out as, you know, more there to just, I don't know if I would say she was just kind of there to really more serve Obi-Wan as, just how different he is from Anakin, right? Cuz Anakin chose Padme. Anakin chose to have his cake and eat it too. Where Obi-Wan has feelings for for this woman and didn't do the same thing Anakin did. Like this is what Anakin would be if he, you know, made the choice that was expected of him for the oath that he took. And
Mhm,
I always liked her as a character. Like at first she's like really standoffish and condescending to Obi-Wan, but then as we start to know her, um there's more layers to her. Like she really does care about Obi-Wan. She cares about her people. She cares about keeping Mandalore safe and doing things better than the way things were in the past. And she's doing her best, right? Like I think the best characters are just doing their best. Like they care and they're just doing what they can to follow their beliefs and follow their principles. And she is constantly put in situations where her pacifism is tested, and I appreciate that. I mean, Anakin kind of in the
mhm,
most notable one where it's like they were going to blow up the ship they were on. Anakin kind of took away uh the conundrum for Obi-Wan and Satine at the same time, where both of them had to figure out if they were going to betray their principles. Um but for the most part she's very steadfast and like, and she's so cute with Obi-Wan. I hate to use that as like a point in her favor, but like because I love Obi-Wan and because I really like her and because they're really great together, it's like, this is so good. I love these two. And again, I think she really is a side character, right? Like there's not much to her past being a side character, but the things that she does really well, and the purposes to the story that she serves are like perfectly executed in my opinion. So for a character that we don't really have that much for, I love her and I want more of her. And it's not because I think that we need more of her necessarily, but because I enjoy her so much and I enjoy her dynamic with Obi-Wan. I have been saying this forever. I want to see the story of how they met, about the story about how they reminisce when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were protecting her back when Obi-Wan was a young Padawan and he just had started out with Qui-Gon. I don't know why we haven't gotten that story yet, and I don't care how we get it. I just want it. I want it so bad. Um, but yeah, she's a great character. I think I really warmed up to her personality. At first I wasn't so sure because of how like rigid she was and kind of mean. But you know, sometimes you got to be mean. You got to be mean when you're a leader. You have to make difficult decisions and you have to, you know, just because people don't agree with your decisions, you know, doesn't mean they're the wrong ones. And I don't know if she was ever really wrong about her opinions, but unfortunately, the Star Wars galaxy at that time is like Game of Thrones. You got to play the Game of Thrones, and she lost, unfortunately.
Yeah, she definitely does
She
lose.
lost.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but it makes for one of the best arcs in Clone Wars.
Oh my
So
god,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, that Mandalore, that first Mandalore arc, well, maybe not the first one, I guess, but that main one, like the main
Yeah,
Death Watch one
yeah.
with Darth Maul and all of that stuff. It's just so good. It's so good. Yeah, I mean it that leads to my absolute favorite moment, my favorite shot in all of Clone Wars, which is after Obi-Wan has stolen the Death Watch armor and flown through or whatever. He's got it. He's not wearing the helmet. He's got his lightsaber out. He's in Mandalorian armor, and the those big blast doors open, right? Like the hangar door sort of thing opens, and it's like a Dutch angle, and it opens, and it's just absolute chaos. It's just total war. That to me in season 5 was the moment that Clone Wars went from um a really fun show to one of the best pieces of Star Wars
Mm.
media.
Yeah.
Like it just like that was really, we had said it a lot on Frontlines up until that point of like, oh yeah, these are like mini movies. And that one, you can go back, you can listen to that episode and you can hear me say like, we've said that before, but this time I really mean it. This is as good as any of the movies. Like this might actually be better than most of the prequels. Yeah, like it to me, it like that whole Satine storyline, and again it's related into Obi-Wan, but that whole storyline does so much to inform the way that Revenge of the Sith goes, that the movies just failed to accomplish it. When you watch that arc, when you watch that season 5 Mandalore arc with Darth Maul having come back and Satine dying and Obi-Wan's struggle with all of that, and just the scale and scope of it, um you see why George made this the next project after he finished the prequels. Because I think George finished the prequels, walked away from them, and then sort of like heard the feedback and took it to heart of like, oh, I didn't do it. I didn't tell the right part of the story. Right? People are missing the context. It's all up in my head, and I thought that I could do it like I did the original trilogy, but I couldn't because that's literally the story that we were telling, right? Like it's I think that I think that he just sort of looked back at it retrospectively and was like, damn it, okay, uh man, really don't give Obi-Wan a lot of justification for the choices that he makes in that third movie, do I? And so there's a lot in Clone Wars in those 7 seasons, but especially in those 5 where he was, I think, more directly involved, right? Before the sale, before the Netflix season and then the Disney Plus season and all that, which were obviously like those were written and in production when he was still in charge of Lucasfilm. But I think like season 5, really, if you look at season 5 and you look at the Satine stuff, like, and you look at the Mandalore stuff, that character exists very much to justify Obi-Wan's entire character arc over the prequels,
Mm.
right? And this is where George is such an expert storyteller, is that he uses Satine to just really like retcon that whole character. And so you go back to episode 1 and you look at the relationship between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and there's a little bit in that sort of like back and forth between the two of them, a little bit of that friction, and you go like, I can actually attribute a bit of that to the Satine stuff,
Yeah.
right? That they're like Obi-Wan's standoffishness and his apologetic nature when he later on is like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't I shouldn't question you in front of everybody else. And then Qui-Gon's like, listen, I actually taught you to do that. It's fine, right? But it's like you can tell that there's that Obi-Wan in that is reacting. He's like, no, I appreciate that, but no, I was being emotional, right? I wasn't being a good Jedi. And Qui-Gon's like, yeah, I foresee you'll become a great Jedi, a much greater Jedi than I, right? Like all of that stuff. But I look at that now and I go like, this is like that's the Satine stuff coming out, right? Like Obi-Wan being like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you making this choice? Right. Um, and like a lot of this stuff with Amidala, I I think is like reminiscent for him. So you see him sort of like bristling at certain things. And it's like, and in the original film, it's like none of that obviously has anything to do with Satine. But it's that this is great Star Wars, right? Like when great Star Wars comes out and like a character is introduced and that character then makes you go back and look at everything else that that character touched
Right.
and go like, oh, okay, so this is what's happening here and there, right? Like it's yeah, Satine's such a great character for that, and a foil for Padme, which I think is really important as well. Talk about how Padme doesn't get her due, and there's sort of like Padme erasure and that sort of thing. I think that Satine is actually a character that runs counter to that. I think that Satine
Mm.
exists in the story specifically as a foil to Padme, and Obi-Wan and Satine's relationship, as you mentioned, is there like as a foil to Anakin and
Foil, yeah.
Padme's
I couldn't think of
relationship.
the word before, yeah.
Yeah. Um and I and to me, Satine ends up justifying Obi-Wan's actions in Revenge of the Sith, and even within the Clone Wars series itself, to an extent that nothing else does. Because by the end of Clone Wars, especially season 7, it is very apparent that Obi-Wan knows,
Yeah.
right? Like especially in season 7, in that
Yeah.
Bad Batch arc
Yeah.
at the beginning, it is academic that like when Rex covers for him and Obi-Wan's like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't care. That's Obi-Wan in the midst of this war that is tearing everything apart. People that they care about are dying left and right. The clones are dying constantly. Like they are surrounded by tragedy. And Obi-Wan looks at Anakin and Padme and goes, that's what I should have done. And I regret it every single day. And now she's dead because of it. So I'm not getting in the way. I will not do it. Right. And I think like that there is season 2 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Like
Mm.
that, exploring that aspect of Obi-Wan's character and having him look at that. So that, and we've talked about it. Season 2 would be whatever adventure he's on has something to do with Mandalore, has something to do with Satine, right? Whatever, for whatever reason he's been pulled away. The only other thing that I think could pull him away from Tatooine and Luke, other than Leia, right? I and that it is when we see flashbacks like we saw in season 1, those flashbacks are to that first story of them meeting. Um, and I at this point now I'm like let's do it. Recast those two characters, right? The young versions of them, right? Like let's bring in an even younger Obi-Wan, a new actor to play an even younger Obi-Wan, and let's bring in a young actor to play Satine, and let's actually play that storyline out. You know, none of this deep fake nonsense. uh you know, just recast the characters, right? Like
Mm.
just it's fine, it's not a big deal, guys. It's not a big deal. James Bond has been played by a half a dozen people, right? More than that, I don't know. Like it doesn't matter. The characters are the characters. If they're well written, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I like you, I also would love to see all of that stuff because of my love for Obi-Wan, but also because like Satine is a great character. And I want to see what I really want to see is I want to see how much Satine was like Padme back then, right? And how much of that, you know, informs Obi-Wan's decision making processes later on. Because I think that we would learn that it's actually quite a bit, right? That a lot of this stuff that goes on with Anakin and Padme is history repeating itself, whether they know it or not, right? Um, yeah, yeah. Satine's awesome. Okay, let me jump into my next character.
Do it. Well, last one for today, right?
Last one for today,
Okay.
yeah, and then you'll give yours, and then we'll
Cool.
and then we will end this episode, and we will come back for the next one. Awesome. K Vess is my next character. This is the character that bumped Jaina. And I it was sort of a last minute decision that I made this morning as I was thinking about stuff. She barely makes it in here. I think because of the recency bias. Like I she was one of the first characters that came to mind. Let me rephrase that. Like that it's not that she like barely made it in because she barely makes it into my favorite female characters. She barely made it in because I was worried that I am being too biased towards a new character that I have just recently fallen in love with. But then the more that I thought about it after we started talking about our list the other day, the more I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to go through an entire episode or two episodes talking about female characters and not talk about K-Vess. So yeah, it was. I she had to be included here. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you know that Star Wars Outlaws was my game of the year for 2024. That is not necessarily because of the gameplay. That is because of two things, and that's K Vess and ND5. And yeah, like I fell in love with these characters so fast in a way that I I don't know that I have with a lot of other new Star Wars characters. Chimeras may be the only other one that jumps to mind. And it's funny because that's like they're really close together to when they were introduced. But but this character, I mean, like within the first hour of playing the game, I was like, oh, I actually really dig this character. And I talked about it a lot on that episode of Off the Record, which is Patreon exclusive over at patreon.com/thunderquack. There's a plug. Uh, but I'll talk about it here as well. The thing that I love the most about Kay is that she is a very flawed character.
Mm.
And in in this era of genre storytelling, like pop culture storytelling, we don't really get a lot of truly flawed characters that aren't anti-heroes. Um that like the flaw isn't that they'll like murder somebody, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like, oh, this guy acts like a bad guy but he's actually got a heart of gold sort of
Yeah.
thing. um and we really don't get a lot of women that are truly flawed characters where it's not like um a romantic deficit, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Something that you would look at them and go like, oh, I don't think I want to be in a relationship with them, sort of thing, right? Like that's usually how female characters are flawed in the modern age of storytelling. Is like, oh, she's too focused on her career, whatever, right? Like it's always some like that's her flaw is that she's undateable, right? That has nothing to do with it with Kay. This the flaws with this character are actually like very deep, interesting character flaws. I her overconfidence in her abilities is a big one. I She really does get herself in over her head, and like we say that about a lot of characters, but then it's like, well, these are just characters on adventures. But there are a lot of moments in Star Wars Outlaws where Kay should do a different thing but does not, and then ND5 is like, I don't understand you humans sort of thing, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that she does where it's like, I she knows better and other people are standing next to her telling her not to do it, but she can't go against her own nature and is like, I'm gonna do it. It's I really love that about her character, that she's just sort of like she's very unabashedly herself. I love that she's got the cockiness of Han Solo, but she doesn't she doesn't have the charisma to sell it,
Right. Which
and it's
but
one
but, like, that's also really charismatic in my opinion. When
it
someone doesn't have charisma, it makes it funnier,
yes.
you know what I
It
mean?
it's a paradox that they created with the character, right?
Mm,
Because in universe, we understand that nobody's buying it,
yeah,
right? Like
right.
it's like the story is very clear that like no one is I of the opinion that KVS is capable of doing the things that she says that she's going to do. They hire her anyways cuz they're like, "Ah, you'll get the job 80% complete and that's all I need." Right? Like it's good enough, like you're better than this other bounty hunter, so it's fine, right? Um but we as an audience watching the character love her for it because she never stops trying, like literally never, like up until like the final act of the game, even when like it's just like the stakes couldn't be higher for the characters personally. And it's not a fate of the galaxy type of game, it's very much a personal story, so it's like it's all personal stakes by the final act. But yeah, like the stakes couldn't be higher, it couldn't be a bigger deal, and yet that she is still cashing checks that her ass can't writing checks that her ass can't cash. That's the way that I should say that, right? Like it's so good. It's such a great character aspect. It's so great in the way that it is Han Solo to a T, but like for some reason Han always gets away with it and K frequently does not. And it actually ends up making situations worse. But she's got this cast of characters around her, these allies that she gathers, and that's what often pulls her fat out of the fryer at the end of the day. And it's because underneath the outlaw is an actual hero, and what they all recognize is what the story ultimately ends up becoming about, which I'm going to say this, it's a little bit spoilery but without full spoilers. But she would do anything for the people that she cares about, right? She defines herself that way, and she defines herself that way in opposition to her mother, who um she sees as having abandoned her, right?
Mm,
That's a whole aspect of the story, and by the end of it, you uncover that, and it's part of the journey, and it's one of the reasons why I love the game so much is that component of the story. But that is her defining characteristic, is what she will do, the lengths she will go to for the people that she cares about. And so even though she is constantly getting everybody around her into more peril than necessary in order to accomplish the goal, they stick by her because of that loyalty, right? And they're all like, they all, by the end of the story, everybody goes their separate ways, because it's a heist story, so that's the way that they always resolve. So, you either you pull off the heist or you don't, and then everybody kind of goes off into the sunset, right? I But every character leaves at the end, like any great heist story, with like the look back to our hero, and the like, but if you ever need anything, you know where to find me, right? Everybody treats her that way, and it's
mm,
because it's like she is a good person, not because she follows the rules or the laws, or like is a hero fighting for the galaxy, but because she just like the what she fights for, and the reason that she fights is to make a better life for her and the people that she cares about. And so like that's just, I don't know, it's just a really resonant thing. I just really really love that aspect of the character. I think it's the type of character that we need right now. It is um there are so many anti-heroes, and Kay, even though she is an outlaw, and in the game you do stuff, you steal and you murder people and all sorts of, I mean, you kill so many people in that game because a video game character, right? Um but I don't see her as an anti-hero, right? Like I see her as like neutral good on the D&D alignment chart.
Mm.
And and I really love that components of it, cuz we have a lot of like lawful good characters, especially with the female characters, a lot of lawful good characters, and then we have a lot of like, chaotic evil in Star Wars.
Mm.
But we don't have a lot of actual neutral characters. Um, we have characters who maybe start from neutral places or are treated as neutral, but in reality are not. Like Han is not in reality a neutral good character. Um, I I he vacillates between chaotic and lawful good.
Mm.
And that's why people go like, oh, he must be neutral good then, because that's in between those two on the chart. But in reality, it's like Han rolls the dice, and depending on what number comes up, he does something lawful or he does something chaotic, and you like even he doesn't know until he's doing it,
Yeah.
right? That's different from being neutral good. Whereas like I look at K and it's like K does not give a flying fuck about the Empire or the Rebellion, right? And there's a little bit of an intimation in the story that like maybe eventually she'll end up on the side of the rebellion because she is a good person, and the authoritarian regime is not the good guys. So eventually she'll end up siding against them. In a real way, not in like a not in sort of oh, this is an alliance of convenience or happenstance, which is kind of what you end up in fighting the Empire in this game. But all of that is to say like that her motivations, I believe, are truly neutral. The only other character that I would say is a pretty true neutral character, neutral good character, it would be Din Djarin. Like that's another character who's like Din is like, look, Empire, Rebellion, none of that concerns me. I'm in this for me and my clan. Like that's why I do what I do, right? And so Kay and Din are very similar in those respects of like they would do anything for those people. But um, it has nothing to do with like the larger, you know, sort of social strata of the galaxy. It's about, yeah, it's about her own world, right?
Mm.
And being in charge of her own world. Yeah, yeah. Kay's awesome. Kay's a great character, such
Yeah.
an underrated
Yeah,
character at
she's
this
great.
point in time. And I really hope that we get to see more of her. I really, really hope that they tell more stories with her, or that we get another game. I don't know that we will, because it gets talked about as having been a failure, but I really don't see it that way. Obviously, my favorite video game of last year.
It's
I
crazy,
can't wait.
man.
There's another piece of DLC coming out, and it's
Do we know when
got
that's dropping?
Hondo in it. I think it's next month. I think it's March. It's either March or April. It's
Okay.
coming soon.
Okay.
I think we'll hear about it soon.
I mean, either way, I'm probably not gonna get to it till May, but
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
excited it will be like waiting
Yeah.
for me when I get home.
I've got these crazy projects on my plate right now, and it's going to end up being a thing where I go like, this has to be my cookie at the end.
Yeah, because
Right?
otherwise, that's it. Everything is gonna get ignored and pushed. Yep,
I'm
100%,
gonna end up screwing myself over
hundred
if I
percent,
don't, right? But
hundred
it'll
percent.
be a very, very good incentive.
Yeah,
Like if they come out,
yeah,
we'll finish recording this episode, right? Or it'll already been announced while we're in the middle of recording it, and we'll say like, I don't know, maybe it comes out soon, and they're gonna be like, yeah, it's out next week.
yeah,
And I'm like, perfect. That's exactly when I don't want it.
yeah.
But it'll be a thing of like, yeah, yeah, Kay and Hondo.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
God, guys, I can't wait. That's two of my favorite
Have
characters
we seen what he looks
interacting.
like in the game yet, or no?
Just in the promo art, there's a
Oh,
piece of
okay.
promo
I haven't
art
seen
for
it. I
it,
haven't
and he
seen
looks very much like Galaxy's Edge Hondo.
it. Okay,
I
I had a feeling. I still just wanted to see.
Yeah, but we haven't actually seen like in game, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, there it is.
Maybe in a brief trailer,
So excited.
but
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
He looks a
Put
little
Hondo in
different.
everything, please.
He looks a
Yeah.
little different.
Okay, cool. Let's close it out with yours, because this first episode is gonna cap out at two
Oh my
hours.
god. Okay. Uh, Hera. It's Hera. Come on. Hera's
Yeah.
amazing. What's not to love about Hera? Um, she's a leader of the rebellion. She's a leader of the team in Rebels, Ghost Squad, right?
Yeah.
Ghost
Yep.
Squad. Okay. Um, she's the mom. She is an amazing pilot. She okay. Here's another sexist sounding thing that I'm really trying to avoid, but like I think it proves the point. She has such a reputation for being a cunning, skilled, talented pilot that even Thrawn knows who she is already and basically gives her kudos because I feel like there was a scene in one episode where I think Sabine was flying the TIE defenders and like she's doing really well and um like outmaneuvering and somebody's like, "Oh, that must be Syndulla." And Thrawn's like, "No, everybody would be wasted right now if that was Syndulla piloting that ship."
Yeah, this would be over
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
was Harrison Dula. Yeah.
So like if even somebody like Thrawn who's like, you know, the Empire's best can give her respect where it's due. Like Hera's the
Yeah.
best. Hera's awesome. She's such a sweetheart. She is warm. She's everything I like in a character period where they're just cool, they're capable, they're easy to work with, they're level-headed, they're smart, like everything you can love in a character Hera embodies. And she's
Mhm.
not there just to be Kanan's love interest, which like most of these characters aren't. But like the like a lot of these characters can fall into the trap of, well, here's our hero character and they need a love interest. And the love interest is just kind of there to be, had, right? Like just there to
Yeah.
be, you know, secondary character, make the other character look good. Hera looks good all on her own. And frankly, it's the other way around a lot of times. Like,
Oh yeah, she's more capable than Kanan
right.
in almost every respect.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. I love Hera.
Yeah. Yeah, Hera is a top tier character, and then getting her in the Ahsoka series and like getting even more of that,
Mm-hmm.
it just yeah, what a great addition to Star Wars. Talk about like a character in the mold of Princess Leia, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Hera is very much in that mold, but at the same time stands on her own, is very much her own character. Um, yeah,
How do you
I
feel about the because like we've talked about this in general before where a character is introduced um in animation and then eventually goes on to appear in the live action stuff. And sometimes they feel like the same character, other times they don't. Like I think the Grand Inquisitor in Kenobi was kind of one where they didn't really feel like it was the same thing. I didn't get the same vibe. I wasn't afraid of him the same way I was in Rebels. Um, how do you feel they did with Hera?
yeah, I think Hera is much closer to her animated counterpart
Hmm.
in Ahsoka than the Grand Inquisitor
Yeah.
is. I think the Grand Inquisitor is a very different interpretation of the
Hmm.
character. But he serves a very different purpose in the Obi-Wan Kenobi
Sure.
series, so I think that's a big part of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love Hera's portrayal in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I think that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is fantastic in the role. I think that Vanessa Marshall probably could have done a pretty good job as well,
Hmm.
I don't begrudge them for that casting choice.
Yeah.
I think that it's also a very smart, very apt casting choice. And it's a for the stuff that she has to do in that series. I think that decision, like she really holds her own against the other actors on screen.
Yeah.
And
I
I love that choice. It's one I think it's one of the better ones. I mean, like I think that all of the choices to recast in Ahsoka
oh dude, Sabine
makes
and
sense to me.
Ezra are just bullseye. The two
Yeah,
of them.
yeah. Like I think it's it. Sometimes that recasting doesn't go well.
Hmm.
Inquisitor is a good example of that. I think the makeup also is a component of what's going on there.
Sure. Yeah, his
But
appearance is very like
yeah,
yeah.
um, but sometimes it is for the better, and sometimes it's just like it's just what the story dictates, right?
Sure.
And I think that that's a really good example of like the story kind of just dictated that these actors be different people,
Mm.
right? Like we've talked about this a whole bunch with Ahsoka, and 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 we talked about it during Ahsoka, right? I I love Ashley Eckstein. I love everything that she brought to that character. Obviously, like she is the originator of that character. Doesn't exist without her. And I think that the stuff that she goes on to do in Star Wars Rebels and then in like the Tales of the Jedi stuff, like I think that she really stretches and shows the range that she can get with that
Hmm.
character.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't know that she would have done what they needed her to do from a on-screen presence perspective
Mm.
that Ahsoka needed to do in the Mandalorian, right? And then eventually in the Ahsoka show. I think that character needed just a little bit more presence than Ashley Eckstein was going to to be able to give. And so yeah, like that's where like that casting I think is really smart casting. I think Rosario Dawson is an actor that commands the screen when she's on.
Yeah.
I like there are many instances of her being in things where she just absolutely steals the show. I so yeah, like they're kind of like with Hera, it's a little bit less so, but um, with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like I don't think that she is quite as commanding a presence as Rosario Dawson is.
Mm.
But still, like I think that I think that it was the right call. I think that it was the right call
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
character.
For sure.
Um, she looks real good in those flight suits in Ahsoka. Yeah, listen. We could be really like PC, early 2020s about a conversation about women in Star Wars and never talk about their physical appearance. But I think that in the year 2025, I think that if we really want to move on to like the next stage of feminism, we have to acknowledge what is not an elephant in the room but is just an aspect of people, right? The point is that if we were going to do our list of men specifically, then we would also need to be calling out physical appearance. And I think that you can go back. I think you because we did do our favorite characters. I think we did our favorite. What do we do? Like our favorite like original trilogy characters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And maybe we've done our favorite prequel trilogy characters, but um, yeah, I mean, like I do talk about their physical appearance, and when we talk about Poe Dameron, I can't help but talk about how pretty he is. And Obi-Wan is very much similar, but like, yeah, there are components to these characters that it would be silly for us to not acknowledge that, like Mary Elizabeth Winstead's really hot, and like there are several moments in Ahsoka where I it's like, oh boy, those pants are tailored.
Yeah.
I in a way that we are not used to seeing in Star Wars, which is
Right.
why it's noteworthy,
Yeah.
right? Is that like either a character is in like a skin tight outfit where it's like very overt, or or it is just literally their skin in the instance of Hutt Slayer Leia, right?
Yeah.
Um, but but so it's either like really overt in that way, like Padme's
Oh my
Geonosis
god.
outfit, or Leia in Return of the Jedi, right? Or it's like the other
Yeah.
direction where it's like, do not think of this character in a sexual way at all, which is 90%
Yeah.
of the costume design for female characters in Star Wars, which I actually think is like kind of to its detriment a little bit, because it's like, no, it's okay for women to be sexy
Yeah.
in Star Wars. I think it's okay. I think it's all right. And thankfully, the Mandalorian, like um, that whole era that we're exploring, the Mando era, this post Return of the Jedi, early New Republic stuff. there's a lot of sexy ladies in it.
Yeah.
And it's good, it's great. I like it. There's also a lot of very pretty guys. I mean, like, I objectify Cobb Vanth as well. Like, I think, listen, I think Tamura Morrison in Book of Boba Fett has some moments where it's like that he's looking pretty good, guys. Like he's pretty sexy in that show, in that armor. I maybe not so much when he's hanging out with the Tuscans and he hasn't been in the back to tank very much, but like the to my whole point, they put him in the back to tank to fix his face so that he's pretty again. Right, like there's a whole component to that show where they're like, yeah, we got to make sure if he's the lead of the show that he's not just like, you know dusty and scarred looking like he has been. We got to get this guy looking hot if we want him to kiss Fennec eventually. And we do. Fennec is another character that should probably be an honorable mention, so there it is, her honorable mention. But um yeah, I think it's okay. It is okay to talk about these characters being sexy or attractive in whatever way, as long as we're not simply objectifying them, right? This is not a ranking of the hottest Star Wars ladies. This is a ranking of the best Star Wars ladies, and thus far we are talking about character traits and stuff like that. But we can't get past Hera in Ahsoka without talking about that cake. Sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it because, like, a maybe that one is an elephant in the room of, like, if you bring that character up, we got to talk about it. But be like, listen, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's working hard for that, right? Like, she's putting in the hours to look that good. And this is just me saying I appreciate it. That's all. I appreciate it. If I'm honest, I
I,
appreciate Poe Dameron's ass more. Like, if I'm honest, which I am, an honest person. You can't you say a lot about me, but you can't say that I'm not honest about how much I love Poe
you
Dameron.
can't.
It's his forearms that really do it for me, and that's where, like, Rise of Skywalker isn't complete and utter trash, because, like, they were like, hey, roll those sleeves up. And put the gloves on, because there's something about the way that frames his arms. You got, like, the gloves, and then the rolled up sleeve, and then in between just bare, perfectly hairy arm, not too hairy, not too hairless. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Nice muscle definition, blocks and diamonds, as illustrators know. He's got that nice thick cylinder, and then the sharp angles on the meaty part of his arm. That's what I look at Poe Dameron, and I'm like, that's hot. I Yeah. See, I can do it both ways, is my point. So, it's 2025,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think that I think that as long as we can keep it fair and balanced, is my whole point.
mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I think I did. I think we talk about Hera's ass, Poe Dameron's forearms, and I think that we're in safe territory. Listen, no one's listening to this part. We're
We
we're
care.
2 hours into this
Who cares?
conversation. Nobody's listening anymore. Or if they are still listening, they were definitely, like, starting to tune us out, and then I started this part of the conversation. They were like, whoa, wait, what's happening?
Talking about butts.
um yeah. I Yeah, cool. That's it for the first half ish. We're doing 5 characters each, so it doesn't really split in half perfectly. But our first part of our 2-part conversation about our I don't know. Is it the best ladies in Star Wars? Is it our favorite? I think it's our
I think
favorites,
it's
right?
favorites. Yeah, because
Yeah, I think it's
it's all
favorites.
subjective.
This is very subjective. But I will be back in a couple of weeks with the next part. We are recording that now, but you guys will get it later. So when we don't talk about the huge news that came out, that's why. But the most important news is to go to stillfleet.com/enter and you know support my project on BackerKit, please. It's not. It's gonna be real cheap, guys. The print copy, you get it for $19. It's like nothing. And it's awesome. And we got other stuff too. So, that's it. That's it for this episode, Joe.
We did
We
it.
did it. We did it for this one. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you on the next episode. We don't have an outro for this one, right?
I don't
We
think
have
so.
no
We
outro.
should have really figured that out by now.
We should have figured it out by now.
And
right?
we're not going to figure it out by the next one either, because we're about to record it.
Nope. Not going to figure it out. Awesome. See you guys next time. Follow Force Perspectives on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ForcePOV. And join us on Discord at thunderquack.com/Discord. Support the show by visiting us at patreon.com/thunderquack to get early access to episodes, leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast service, or buy merch at store.thunderquack.com. Force Perspectives is a part of the Thunderquack Podcast Network.